So this video is the second part to a two-part video. In the first part to this video, which will be linked in the description below, I give a brief overview of Zidane's managerial career, looking at his attributes, as well as his tactical philosophy and style of play whilst at Real Madrid. In this video, I'll be analysing how he would set up this Manchester United side, looking at the systems he could potentially use, before I identify 3 different players that Zidane could look to bring in if he was manager come the summer. But before that, for cheap good quality football jerseys, retro jerseys and tracksuits, go over to www.jerseyfifa.com, a link will be left in the description, and use code ATLANTISFOOTBALL to get 5% off. So I think on paper Zidane will set up this Manchester United side in what looks to be a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3, but you'll see how it is different to Solskjaer's when I explain the in possession shape. But in terms of personnel, I do think we will see Harry Maguire drop out of the starting back line, because Zidane's side do like to push high up the pitch. If you watch these Real Madrid side, they do like to press aggressively in the opposition's defensive third on occasion, and that's obviously going to be a problem if you've got Harry Maguire, who turns like a bus, can't defend in the channels, which is going to be a problem if he plays on that left side, with Shaw bombing forward down the left channel. Maguire's going to have to defend in the channel a lot, and he's probably the worst player in terms of the United centre-backs that you would want defending in one-on-one situations. Lindelof's a bit better, he's not as good as Varane, but I do think Lindelof and Varane will be the centre-back partnership that Zidane would go for. Now in terms of the central midfield, if you look at McTominay, Fred and Matic, long-term they aren't going to be Zidane's first choice option in that position, but at the moment he's got to work with what he's got, and United don't really have another industrious central midfielder who would have to be partnered alongside Pogba or Van de Beek. I don't think you can go with Pogba and Van de Beek together in that double pivot. So I do think he will go with McTominay to start with alongside either Pogba or Van de Beek, because even though Matic is a better forward passer in my opinion, Matic isn't that much more press resistant than McTominay. He's not a great dribbler or driver forward of the ball, and defensively I think he's far too slow to be that player to break up counter-attacks, and I would prefer McTominay in that position if I was manager as well. McTominay is a decent player, he's a jack of all trades, master of none, but for this specific purpose, just to play alongside either Pogba or Van de Beek, I do think he will be Zidane's best option. Now if Zidane came in, initially Pogba's obviously injured, I think until the new year, so I do think we will see Van de Beek playing that sort of position, but it's going to be a different sort of double pivot to how Solskjaer uses his in a 4-2-3-1, and you'll see what I mean when I come on to the possession shape. So in terms of the front four, I do think we will see Sancho play a lot more from the right side, because he really is United's only real natural winger, and particularly with Wan-Bissaka on that side, you'll see how I would think that Zidane would use Wan-Bissaka, and you're going to need Sancho on that right side to make up for that. In terms of from the left side, I do think we could see Rashford, Greenwood or Martial playing that position, playing more of an inside forward role, and Fernandes will obviously play in behind Ronaldo, but in possession we'll look at the build-up phase first, and this will be pretty standard. It obviously depends on how the opposition decide to press United, but Zidane sides do usually try to play out from the back, but they aren't averse to going long, and certainly with Ronaldo upfield that's obviously a good option, especially if the opposition's midfield push high up the pitch, and Fernandes and Van de Beek or Pogba, assuming it will be Pogba if he's able to start, they will be what I call the 2 free players who United look to play into to break the lines of the opposition's press. So you could see these 2 players either drifting high in behind the opposition's midfield or dropping to create a numerical advantage around the box. I also think we would see Rashford and Sancho, the 2 wide players, retaining higher, wider positions to push the opposition's fullbacks back and stop them moving up the pitch to compress the play further. So as I said before, Zidane is very good at maximising individual players' capabilities, but also minimising their weaknesses. So what I would assume Zidane would do, unlike what he did at Real Madrid with the fullbacks where he pushed both Carvajal and Marcelo on, playing almost as wingers in possession, I think he'll keep Wan-Bissaka in a deeper position, creating a back 3 in possession with Varane and Lindelof, which obviously gives United that wide base to circulate the ball around the opposition's frontline players. And not only will this then allow Luke Shaw on the left side to push high up the pitch, retaining an advanced wide position as Sancho will on the right side, creating almost a 3-2-5 shape in possession, but it may also allow either Pogba or Van de Beek, whoever's playing alongside McTominay, to either sit deep in front of the opposition's midfield line or push up into the half space on the left side, with Fernandes taking up that half space in the right side. Now an interesting thing I think Zidane will do to get the best out of either Marcus Rashford or Mason Greenwood, whoever plays from that left side, is have Ronaldo playing more as a wide forward, being given the freedom to drift along that back line into whatever position he feels is best to make a run in behind, because Ronaldo is phenomenal at making those bending runs down the side of the centre back, and with Ronaldo pulling out into these positions, the likelihood is that he drags a centre back out of that central spot, and this could give Marcus Rashford the perfect opportunity to make those diagonal runs which he's so good at. Also, if Mason Greenwood Greenwood and Anthony Martial can add this sort of movement to their game that Rashford has in abundance, then those two are obviously going to improve as well, and this could be the catalyst to allow Greenwood to go on and become an elite level forward. But overall, I do think in possession we will see Zidane utilise Wan-Bissaka in a deeper position, not just for the defensive protection, but also to minimise the amount of times he's on the ball in the opposition's half, looking for a forward pass, because we know that's not one of Wan-Bissaka's strengths. So this will lead to either Zidane using a 3-2-4-1 possession shape, or even more of a 3-2-3-2, with Rashford maybe playing more as a left-sided forward, alongside Ronaldo making runs in behind, while Sancho keeps a width on the right side, playing more as an orthodox winger to compensate for Wan-Bissaka's deeper position. I also think this Pogba Van de Beek role will get the best out of both players, particularly Van de Beek, who is much better playing between the lines with his quick passing and interplay around the box being his main strength, and in this position he can get into those half spaces alongside Bruno Fernandes, and Pogba can do the same as well. Now currently when United don't have the ball, we see Solskjaer's side pressing either a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-4-2 shape, and they do look to press man to man, but we've seen, certainly against Liverpool, it's pretty uncoordinated. Doesn't really adapt to the opposition, but with Zidane you can guarantee he's going to adapt his pressing style to the opposition's possession system, which is what you have to do. And as I said before, Zidane's sides do like to press in quite a different way to what most people would expect. If you look at Jurgen Klopp's side, they often press with a front three, with Mane, Salah and Firmino pressing as a front three, but what we saw from Zidane's Real Madrid, particularly at the start in those first 2.5 years, but even in his second tenure as well, he instructs the central midfielders playing in the 4-3-3 to push up the pitch and act as a front three almost, instructing the wide attackers to sit deeper on the fullbacks, and instead of having a man-to-man press, you see that Zidane's central midfielders push up high but look to cut off the passing behind them. Now while this does leave Zidane's sides vulnerable to a quick bit of interplay and getting the ball in behind his midfield, this is why he likes to have an industrious central midfielder sitting behind the play as he did with Casemiro, and I think McTominay will start off being that man, but hopefully Zidane would look to bring in someone like Ndidi or Chouamani. I'll come on to who specifically later on in the video. That kind of industrious ball winner will sit behind the play and allow the two central midfielders to push up the pitch, but they will be aware of the plays in behind them, and they will position themselves in a way to screen the play and stop that simple pass going in behind the midfield, which is something that Solskjaer's Manchester United definitely lack, and I think we will see Ronaldo play a lot smarter in terms of his pressing game. Solskjaer just seems to tell Fernandes and Ronaldo to press the centre-backs as soon as they get the ball. All this does is it means the press is uncoordinated, the opposition play around United, but under Zidane I think Ronaldo will be a lot more coordinated and systematic with his pressing. Instead of just racing at the centre-back, he'll position himself in a way to cut off the pass across the box, allowing the side to squeeze over, and Zidane's pressing is a lot more about screening and positioning rather than just man-to-man and aggression. Now in the middle third, when Zidane's sides drop off, or if they choose to drop off from the front and play more of a passive pressing style, they could drop into any defensive shape really, because Zidane does have that tactical flexibility. We could see him use a 4-4-2 if he wants to protect the centre of the pitch, having Ronaldo and Fernandes maybe the players to cut off the passing lanes into the opposition central midfielders, or we could see him use more of a 4-5-1 which he did at Real Madrid, or he can even go to a 5-4-1 or a 5-3-2, which he did do in his second spell at Real Madrid as well. Now with Zidane as Manchester United manager in this theoretical situation, you should expect him to switch between a lot of different systems, as he did do that at Real Madrid quite frequently depending on the players that were available. I definitely think we could see a 4-4-2 diamond shape at some point if Zidane was Manchester United manager, with either McTominay or Matic as the single pivot, and Pogba and Van de Beek either side, with Fernandes at the top of that diamond, and up front you could have Ronaldo and Cavani, or you could have maybe Ronaldo and Marcus Rashford, giving Rashford more of a wide forward role, which he would also have in that other system I suggested. However, the fullback situation would cause a problem for this type of system. Shaw on the left side would be fantastic, pushing forward down the left side, providing the output of a natural winger, but obviously Wan-Bissaka is lacking in this area, and that brings me on to the final segment of this. 3 players I think Zidane would target, preferably in January if they're available, but most likely in the summer. But before I go into those 3, remember to go to the description after this video to check out some of my other videos, including my analysis of how Antonio Conte would have set up Manchester United, how Marcelo Gallardo, the River Plate manager, would have set up Manchester United, and how I personally would set up Manchester United if I was Manchester United manager. I will also be putting out videos on Brendan Rodgers and Erik ten Hag as Manchester United manager, so if they haven't come out already, remember to subscribe to the channel and click the bell so you get notified when they come out. If they have come out, out, they will be linked in the description as well. So now on to the 3 players I would suggest for Zidane to sign. Now the first player would obviously be a right back, as I have spoken about Wan-Bissaka's lack of offensive ability being a main problem in an elite team, as you do require your fullbacks to not just be good defenders in one-on-one situations when defending, but they also need to have that offensive ability. And the player who I would suggest for Zidane to go out and get is Napoli's Giovanni Di Lorenzo, who is 28 at the moment and will be 29 by next August, and does have a contract with Napoli until 2026, so he's likely going to cost around 30 to 35 million pounds, which does seem a lot for a fullback approaching his 30s, but Di Lorenzo is currently in his prime, which is what United need from that right back position. They need instant improvement, and Di Lorenzo provides it from a defensive point of view, being a very good one-on-one defender, very good positionally. He could even play in a back 3 as a right-sided centre-back if needed, but most importantly, offensively, he's a massive upgrade on Wan-Bissaka. He's very good going forward. He's not a dribbling fullback, he's not going to take on his player, but he's a very good crosser, similar to Azpilicueta in that sense. He can get into crossing positions, and certainly with Ronaldo in the box, United are going to be looking for those quick crosses from deep positions, which is what we saw Zidane deploy when he had Marcelo and Carvajal and Ronaldo playing as a centre forward for Real Madrid then. So I think he could utilise Ronaldo in the same way, getting Shaw and Di Lorenzo to put in these early deep crosses, and Di Lorenzo can definitely do this. Around the box, he also has a lot more composure than Wan-Bissaka, and his vision's a lot better as well. He's very good at playing low crosses into the box, which we don't really often see from Wan-Bissaka. He is very much a hit and hope crosser when on the ball. Di Lorenzo is a lot more methodical. He's more of an attacking player really than Wan-Bissaka, so I think Di Lorenzo would definitely be an improvement, and he would be the man I go for, as he's going to be in his prime. He's still going to have another 3, 4, maybe even 5 years left as well, so it's not really a short-term fix either. The next position to improve is in central midfield, and it's a ball-winning destructive player to play alongside either Pogba or Donny van de Beek. That is if Pogba is still there, but you definitely need a ball winner in that Manchester United side, and the player I would recommend for Zidane would be Aurelien Tchouameni, who would cost around 30 to 35 million pounds, maybe a bit more, but even if you go as far as 40, I think Tchouameni is definitely worth it. He's only 21, 22 in January, but he's already one of the best ball-winning central midfielders in Europe at the moment, and his FBref report perfectly shows this, as when compared to every other midfielder in Europe's top 5 leagues over the last 365 days, Tchouameni ranks in the 98th percentile for tackles and interceptions, the 2 most important metrics for any central midfielder, but he's a lot more than just that, and the reason I would prefer Tchouameni to say Ndidi is firstly because of the price. Ndidi is going to cost at least 60 million pounds in my opinion, but I think Tchouameni is going to be a better player, and he's certainly already a more complete player than Ndidi. Tchouameni is very press resistant, which is definitely a flaw in Ndidi's game. Ndidi is a decent player on the ball, but he's not the creative type, and Tchouameni's passing, in terms of his long passing, and his ability to find players' runs in behind the back line is certainly a lot better than Ndidi's, and particularly Tchouameni's powerful dribbling through the centre of the pitch is a massive asset, and something I would really look forward to alongside either a Pogba or Donny van de Beek. Tchouameni would be excellent in that role, being able to carry the ball through the opposition's press, which is something that they currently lack with the likes of McTominay, Fred and Matic being very static on the ball, not necessarily having this dribbling ability, and they're basically easy to press when they play in those deeper roles, and Tchouameni is certainly going to improve this. And the final position I would look to improve, if Pogba were to stay, that is a big if. If Pogba obviously leaves, you would obviously need a Pogba replacement, a creative central midfielder to come in, but a player I would go for is the former Chelsea defender currently at AC Milan for Fikayo Tomori, who's 23, will be 24 in December, but I think Tomori is one of the most underrated centre-backs in all of Europe. I think he suits playing in a high back line a lot more than either Lindelof or Maguire. He's got the pace, the strength, he's a very good one-on-one defender, which is going to be needed with him defending in the channels, but he's also a lot more assertive than both Maguire or Lindelof. The problem Manchester United currently have is that both Lindelof and Maguire seem to be too hesitant with their defensive actions. They seem to wait a second too long, and that's where they get caught out a lot, particularly Maguire, who seems to just cause confusion in that back line. So having someone like Tomori, who's going to be assertive, can push out of the back line and be the stopper centre-back with Varane covering in behind, you're going to have an excellent partnership. And now if you've improved your centre-back and your right-back position, Manchester United now have 4 individually very good defenders, which is key to any strong back line. So those were the 3 players that I would bring in for Zidane, and I've discussed how he would set up this Manchester United side, but do I think Zidane would be a good option for Manchester United? Well, in short, I definitely think he would be. Obviously, United seem to be out of the title race, so they've got to focus on the Champions League, and Zidane is the one manager you bring in to win the Champions League. He's very versatile, he can adapt his system to many different styles of play that the opposition throw at him, which is something that Solskjaer just doesn't do, and I think in big games, United are going to be a lot better. Zidane is also very good at getting the best out of individual players, and I think we will see the likes of Pogba, Van de Beek, Ronaldo and Jadon Sancho go up a level even more. Ronaldo's obviously been performing very well, but I do think Zidane knows how to get the best out of him, which is by playing those crosses from deep positions into the box. So I think Zidane is a fit in terms of the squad and the tactical flexibility. He has a lot of different systems to play, so he definitely is a standout option, and I think he has to be considered as one of the favourites. So thank you for watching. I will be going over who exactly I would replace Solskjaer with. I'll give my 1, 2 and 3 in a future video, but I am going to cover Brendan Rodgers and Erik ten Hag as well. So if those videos are out, they'll be in the description. If not, subscribe and click the bell because you'll get notified when those videos do come out.